Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Columbus Municipal School District Regular Board Meeting. Today is Monday, January 13th, 2025, and the time is 5:01. We do have a quorum today. We have with us Mr. Robert Smith, Dr. Josie Shoemake, Mrs. Talisa Young, Reverend James Richardson, and myself, Dr. Cynthia Brown. Item 2 is the invocation, followed by the pledge by the CMSD board member. We will have our invocation by Reverend James Richardson.
Let us pray. Eternal God and our Father, in the name of Jesus, we come this day with thanksgiving and praise in our hearts. Lord, we thank you for all your wonderful blessings. Lord, we thank you for loving us so much that you gave your son to die for us. Him being obedient to your will gave his life on Calvary. You raised him from the dead on the third day with all power, heaven and earth in his hands, and we say thank you. Thank you for life. Thank you for health, strength. Thank you for food, clothing, and shelter, family, friends, and even our enemies. Lord, we just thank you for allowing us to be able to be at this appointed place at this appointed time. Father, we pray now we come that you will guide our mind. Father, allow us to do things that will be pleasing and pleasant in thy sight. And Father, as we come this evening, we pray a special prayer for those who are going through in Los Angeles, California, and other places. Father, we pray that you will bless those families, provide for them, protect. Father, keep us in thy care, hold us in thine hand, and we shall be ever careful to give your name all the thanks, the praise, the honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 is the adoption of the agenda, policy BBB, policy BCBD. Are there any questions about the agenda? Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Reverend Richardson. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 4 is the Board of Education, policy BCBD. A, consideration to approve minutes for December 4th, regular board review meeting minutes, December 9th, board regular meeting minutes, and December 19th, special call meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Reverend Richardson and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 4B, trustee district review, trustee travel report. No travel. Item 2, discussion and consideration of capital improvement plan for the Columbus Municipal School District. Mr. Stephen Little. Good evening.
Okay, got it on. Should have in front of you the reports, capital improvement, athletic report, and your December report. You got any questions on those reports?
Are there any questions for Mr. Little? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Little, I'd just like to take this opportunity, since you'll be leaving us, to thank you so much for your time with us. I know that it's been a rough thing. You never knew you'd start and then there would be a tornado that would take down a building. And the work that you did to make things whole on that were incredible. Also, you've put in place, I think, some policies and procedures that will benefit your successor you set a high bar, and I hope we will be able to find someone as capable as you are. I wish you all the best in your next steps. And thank you so very much for seeing us through a really, really rough time.
Thank you.
No questions? Mr. Little, thank you for your service.
Thank you, ma'am.
We wish you well.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Item 3, discussion of Hunt Campus Recovery, review of expenditures and reimbursement, payments for projects. Mr. Taylor Gill.
How y'all this evening? Oh,
Well, and you?
good, good. I like this new podium. Uh, had a progress meeting as normal on the first or second Monday of the month. We are looking at next month being our last and final progress meeting, which means everything will be finished. They're probably 95, 96% complete. Main things are having to, the blinds, all the windows get blinds in them. They're scheduled to be delivered this week and install those, so that'll be done this week. Mainly just cleaning and finishing things up, the test and balance on mechanical systems, final cleaning, clean up the site work. We're going to leave that temporary fencing up as long as we can, just to secure the property. But we're looking, in fact, I'm going to get with Holly when she gets back in to get the facility on the district's insurance policy and for the district to take over the utilities next month. So everything's good. We've got a couple of proposals that I'm going to leave with Craig. One was to do some additional fencing in front of the school there on 20th. And also to have gates there and sliding gate for the parking lot to secure that front. So I got 15 proposals. I'm going to leave with Craig and let Craig give it to Dr. Ellis and present that to the board. Also on asphalt paving, we didn't have that in the original scope because FEMA, there was really, the asphalt paving really wasn't damaged by the tornado. We've had to cut some trenches across it, and that, of course, will be patched. But the school looks so good now. I hate to have that old parking lot not repaved. So I've also have a proposal for that I'll leave with Mr. Chapman to give Dr. Ellis and the board, and consider those. There's a couple options there. The board could either have a change order for Century to provide it. We might be able to get FEMA maybe to pay for a little bit of it. Some of the damage that was done, some of the equipment as far as the repair work, maybe we can get some, maybe not. The other one is to let, with the bond issue with Neil Schaefer and Kevin, if they do some big major parking lots around the district, you might include this in it, and you might get economy of scale with that work. But that's just one thing on that. So those are the only things there. Encourage the board to go through it and look at it. And if any of the board members want to walk through it, let me know, or let Mr. Chapman know, and I'll set it up. But it's really looking great. I think the gym's 100% finished. Most of the classrooms on the original main wing that faces 20th, those classrooms are about 100% finished. Annexes are about 95% finished. The old home ec, which is now the band and art room, is pretty close too. The museum looks great. So everything's looking good.
What percentage did you say the museum was?
I think the museum's about 95%. The gymnasium and the original two-story classroom building are probably 99.9% finished. The annex and the museums are, I'd say the museum is probably further along than the annex. The annex is still doing some hooking up the mechanical units and getting those turned on. But the museum is probably 98% complete. It looks good. So.
So the elevator in the main building complete?
Yeah, the elevators, they've got to go back and do the brick where they had to take out the walls to install it. The elevators are working. We're waiting on the fiber to get to the building. We met with Mr. Chapman this afternoon. the fiber supplier, which is it what's it? Huh? United. United currently provides the fiber down the street to the Union Academy. We need to get fiber there so we can get the elevator and fire alarm system to be able to call out. And in the meantime, we're going to get C-Spire to put in some wireless cellular devices. But the elevators are operational, and the fire alarm, we just need to get those cellular devices. We'll get those done in the next few weeks so that we can get the city of Columbus to do a final inspection, sound off, and give us a certificate of occupancy the next few weeks. But we are planning next month to have the final progress meeting and pretty well everything complete. So
Any questions?
it looks good though. It really looks good. Any questions you need, always, holler at me or go through Mr. Chapman and get things wrapped up.
We'll get with Mr. Chapman and see what the board desires as a walkthrough. Okay. Any more questions, Mr. Tate? Thank you. Okay. Moving to item 4, consideration and/or discussion to transfer $2,395,000 from Money Market Fund 3028 to District Maintenance Fund 3029. Is there a motion? So moved. I'll make, Mr. Smith, there's a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 5, consideration and/or discussion to approve the transfer of $14,146.70 interest from Money Market Fund 3028 to District Maintenance Fund 1122. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Reverend Richardson. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 6, consideration and/or discussion to reject bids for renovation of McKellar Technology Center. Is there a motion? So moved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Dr. Shoemake. All in favor?
Wait a minute, discussion?
Any discussion?
Can somebody please tell me what this is?
Taylor.
So the McKellar renovation is a culinary arts program in the McKellar. New kitchen, new dining area, and also was a special need restroom in there. The budget was $648. Holly had I think was it a loan or grant, I think.
Yeah.
And the bids, of course, were
Over.
a good bit over. $1.4 million versus $650. Main problem was with the mechanical system. We had a bunch of new hoods in there, had new makeup air, new units. So we're going to go back and reuse the existing in there and get it back in the budget. So once the board rejects these this evening, we'll get back out and get it back on the street within about 2 weeks and make sure next time it's in the budget. So I apologize. So just no excuse in that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions about that? We have a motion from Ms. Young and a second by Dr. Shoemake. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 7 is Priamar Architects update on CMSD bond projects. Mr. Jose Arellano.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I don't do well with microphones, so I'll do my best. We're continuing working on Columbus, Sale, Cook, and Stokes Beard. We turned in the what we call the design developments last week. Those were reviewed as well on Thursday, I believe. We settled, we kind of went page by page. We talked about how construction was going to take place, the length of time of which project we're going to take, which it was pointed out to me that I made a mistake at sale on the original letter that was sent out. I had July of 2025 to be done with it. It's going to be hard to make that happen. So it would actually be July of 2026 before sale will be done. So we anticipate Columbus, Cook, and sale to be done the summer of 2026. And the small work at Joe Cook will be done hopefully this summer as well. And then the other work at Joe Cook, which is the PE building, we review the program of the facility, what's going to go into that facility, the location. So we'll get the survey going to figure out where all the utilities are and drainage and all that stuff. We'll get that project going. That's not phase 2, that's in a different phase, but we went ahead and moved that one forward so we can keep going. Our goal, our target is in March to be done with those documents for Columbus High School, Cook, Sale, and Stokes-Beer, the small work at Stokes-Beer, to be done in March, be ready to advertise and open bids between April and May, and get those projects ready to start construction this coming summer. So all the projects will require both summers to be worked on, as well as every break that we get, every time the school is closed, we'll have somebody there working, and of course, from day to day, nights and weekends, as needed to make sure the project gets done on time. We'll hopefully get going on the next phase of the projects in the following month, and be glad to bring you more updates on those projects then. The only thing at Columbus High School that we're going to discuss, we're going to set up a meeting to discuss, is the entrance, the canopy, how far we're going to take it, and what that's going to look like. So hopefully by next month we'll have that for you as well. I think is that it? Anything else we discussed? I guess it. Any questions, concerns?
No
We
questions?
also review the schedule with Ms. Hollis in regards to, as well as the budget, is regard to every phase. So she has that information as well.
Ms. Holly.
Ms. Holly, yes, thank you.
Any more questions, board?
No, you give me a microphone, I get like this.
That's it. No? All right, thank you.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
Okay. Moving to item 8, contract renewals updates. Board, you have reviewed those. Are there any questions about those? None. Item 9. Item 9 is the consideration and/or discussion to approve changing the February 10th, 2025 regular board meeting time from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And I did request that because that meeting is scheduled at 8:30 normally due to the MSBA conference, and they changed it to the end of the month, as well as a scheduling conflict for myself, but that is my request. Is there a motion? Any discussion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Shoemake and a second by Mr. Smith. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you, board. Moving to item 4C, goals updates and policy BA, student attendance report, school safety report, goal 4, student discipline, dropout report, goal 1, safety report, and the number of accidents in schools, goal 4. Those reports are also for your review. Are there any questions about those reports?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I brought this up last time. I'm a bit concerned about under student discipline. We seem to have changed the way we are recording things. And so the data did not roll over from 25, or excuse me, from 2022-23 school year, the 2023-2024 school year. The most, I guess you would say, shocking thing that I saw was that for the first semester last year, for the July-December 2023 first semester, the things that concerned buses, bus disturbance, bus horseplay, bus incident, we had 185 things that were tallied. For the July to December 2024 semester, we had 12. And to me, that just seems like something is really wrong. Because since I've been on the board since 2016, disturbances with buses has been a problem. We talked about how to correct it, how to address the situation, and honestly, I find it very hard to believe that we dropped from 185 incidents last year in the first semester to 12. Something with the data is trash. And there's no tracking like in previously. You'd have comparison between the previous year. There is no comparison in this new way of tracking discipline with the previous year, because the things that are being used are different, and the data from the previous 2 years somehow the categories are different, everything is different. And so I'm not sure how reliable this data is on several different levels. And since we make data-driven decisions, I would request that somebody investigate this and figure out what's going on.
Good evening, everyone. We'll check in it. I think that's coming from that MSIS 2.0 that we rolled over. That's the state's new informational system. So they've been having a lot of glitches that they've been working on, and that's been an ongoing issue, but we'll check on that and make sure that we get that clarified. But I bet you that's part of the problem. It's that rollover from MSIS 2, rollover to MSIS 2.0.
But when we input the data, we only have, is the data being corrupted at the local level? Because at 12, I mean, I would love to, when we have a report on transportation, I would like to ask if there's been a noticeable drop in problems with buses.
Okay. I don't think that, I think part of that is some of the changes they've made in terms of how we report things. That was part of that MSIS 2.0 as well.
I mean, you can improve discipline on the
Right.
buses
Right.
by just ignoring the data.
We're not ignoring the data, but I have Michelle to check on that, and then we'll give you guys an update on that.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions about that information? Moving to item 4D, Superintendent's Updates and Reports. Number 1 is the Columbus Municipal School District. Dr. Stanley K. Ellis, Superintendent. Good evening. Good evening.
Okay, this is our mission. I'm going to give you guys a brief update on last week. Some of the information that I was going to present tonight, I kind of took some of that out of there because you guys already got that on last week. So our mission for the Columbus Municipal School District, we will provide students with the skills necessary to be college, workforce, and enlistment ready by building bridges amongst parents, the community, and all district employees. Of course, our vision is student-centered, excellence-driven. These are our processes for our strategic plan with the goals. I'm not going to read through all of them, but this is the drive. These are the acronyms. It's centered around data, recruitment, innovative strategies, fiscal prudence, and establishing a safe environment for all students and staff. Okay. This is a copy of the normal report that you guys get each and every month as far as enrollment breakdown from December. It compares it from the prior month. I'm just starting from the top. If you look at Columbus High School, they had 869 students last month. The prior month, now they have 865. So they lost a couple of students. Of course, here it says they has a number of students to withdraw. And so it just kind of gives the tally from last year. The total number of students in the district at the end of November of last year was 3,037 students. This year, at the end of December, we had 3,033 students. This is just a basic comparison report that you guys get each and every month in regards to enrollments at schools. Of course, I'm going to start with Columbus High because it's always at the top, and it's the same throughout. It kind of gives you the numbers, and you can do the comparisons with enrollment, with attendance, and with discipline. It gives you the total number of incidents at the bottom of the report. Okay, this is a normal report that you guys typically get each and every month. Teacher attendance and student attendance. Of course, these are leading and lagging indicators, so we want to make sure that both the teachers and the students are in school. So this breaks down the teacher attendance for the month of December. This breaks down the attendance for the students in December. So it gives you the breakdown with the prior month and also the current month, which would have been December. If you look at the daily average attendance, it's different from the months. So, all right. This was a slide that I took out of the PowerPoint that I had at the convocation last week. Basically, this is centered around charter schools, but I had this in here because a lot of the legislation this year in the session, they're going to be talking about school choice. Of course, in Mississippi, we do have school choice. Charter school is one of those avenues for school choice, but that's going to be a hot topic because I gave examples of if you budget for a certain amount of students and you have 300 students to come in, then that's something that you hadn't budgeted for. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on what's going to take place in this legislative session regards to vouchers and those types of things. Does anybody have any questions that you want to ask me? I've given you the data already, so you already know where our schools stand at the end of last semester. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, custodial update. Ms. Susie Somerville, Director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me start out by saying I am so happy to be before the board of superintendents, district superintendent, because this is the perfect time for the custodians to do an update. And I'm so glad that all the decision-making people are here and present. So I'm glad to be here tonight. Custodial update.
And we're glad you're here.
Goals. Our goal is to provide cooperative, teamwork, and organized plan to ensure a safe and healthy learning environment. To provide quality cleaning procedures and supplies to support the custodial department. Following safety procedures for day-to-day operations. Dr. Ellis has already went over the mission with us. Workplace. Be aware of your surroundings If you see something out of the normal, say something. Ask coworkers for assistance in moving or lifting heavy items, using a ladder, carrying awkward packages on your own leads you to possible injuries. Working as a team benefits everyone. Custodial staff. Right now, we have 34 positions. They aren't filled yet, but we do have 34 positions. Custodial training. New hire and current custodial staff training. New hire. When a person is hired, the first thing I do is pair them with myself, discuss their daily work schedule at their location, discuss with them the cleaning products and how to use them. At the school, they are paired with the head custodian for a day, then compared with another custodian for 2 days. Just a regular custodian is go throughout the school to see what their jobs are. And then they'll report to their assigned area or hall. We did some training in the last couple of weeks on restroom monitoring. And what we mean by restroom monitoring, I told them if they have to, stand outside your restroom, just your presence will make a difference when the kids go in and use the restroom. You don't have to actually go in, but just be more visible on your hall, and that presence makes a difference. I do routine walkthrough and evaluations. Daily cleaning schedule. They canvass the grounds. I know sometimes people will call me and say, "Ooh, it's trash out there." But believe me, we pick it up. We pick it up, they throw it back down. So it's not like we're not picking it up. Entrance, lobbies, rotunda, and halls, dusting high and low areas. And I'm asking custodians to check their restroom about every 20 minutes. Because time you go in there, somebody go in there, they might do something. So I'm asking them, I tell them, try to stick with the schedule to check it about every 20 minutes. Push and mop classrooms and halls. Push hallways throughout the day during the school day. Because when they change classes or where they go from one point, from A to B, they just gonna drop that paper. That's just what kids do. Miscellaneous. Some things I tell them, I say, I can't tell you everything that needs cleaning. You got to have a visual eye for yourself. You know if it's dirty, you know you need to clean it. End of the day, turn off all lights, replace burn out light bulbs, and check the doors are locked. Under staff report. Custodian staff have been understaffed for about 4 months, and it's for various reasons. Family medical leave, people retiring, sickness. It's just the workforce we in now. And the custodians have been trying hard to keep their buildings clean daily, regardless of absentees, after school programs, or activities. Like, take for instance for today, with the people that I don't have this open position, I've got 5 people out today. So, you know, it makes a difference when you got people out and then you are already short. We have one on family medical leave at this point, and we have 4 openings at the school. But one thing about it, I have 3 positions that should be filled tonight if approved. So that would leave me only one position that's open. Okay, I have some concerns for new hire and custodial department pay scale. I'm coming before you again about Schedule 30. Schedule 30, custodial pay. Columbus Municipal School District began to pay for head custodian, which you have a head custodian at every school except McKellar Athletic Complex and Columbus Success Academy. The annual rate is $25,000 a year, starting out, 0 years. The hourly rate is $13.41 for the custodian. They top out at $25,550. CMSD begin and pay for custodian, just a regular custodian, not a head custodian, is $20,000 a year. That's $10.72 an hour starting out. $10.72 an hour. And got some pay scales from, Lowndes County. Lowndes County School District began to pay for the head custodian. The annual rate is $30,381 a year. The hourly rate is $16.60 for 0 experience. Lowndes County District for custodians, annual rate is $22,560, and the hourly rate is $12. So, in the end, I would appreciate your consideration to be competitive with other school districts.
So, Ms. Somerville, could I interrupt you, man?
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Somerville, you said the beginning pay for custodian Columbia Municipal School District, 1072?
1070, yeah,
1072?
with 0 years experience.
And what
And
is
it
it?
goes up to 12 steps. And the total for just a custodian is $25,500. So if they're here 30 years, 25 years, that's the most they can make. And the head custodian is $32,000 for 12 years. Now the county, they go up to 30, they got 30 steps.
So you're saying in the county for a beginning, the pay rate for a beginning custodian is what now?
For just the custodian, it's $12 an hour. And for the head custodian, it's $16.16 an hour.
So in the municipal school district, when the last time the custodian got a raise?
Probably about, it was when Dr. Bott was here, so it probably was about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
They hadn't had a raise in 4 years.
No.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Go. Dr. Schumate.
I was gonna ask you something. I just was listening to you. Are we losing some of our people to other places?
Well, yes, and I've had, even doing interviewing, when I interview people, the last thing I do is go over the pay, because I know, and I say, okay, the pay is so-and-so, so-and-so. And some people will tell me right then that I can't come for that. Then I had a couple of people said they're going to the county, you know, I mean, but what do you say, you know? And then some people, you know, it's the hiring process, you know what I'm saying, hiring process, that gets them, you know. But that pay is really, kind of hanging in the background.
So I would assume the pay have a lot to do with the, a lot of the turnover.
Yes. And see, I've been here 17 years, and see, basically, most of my custodians, I say 60% of them, they was here when I came. And see, what has happened is that those people are starting to retire. So we get new people in, and they're not staying. You know, I had one guy, the last guy that we hired at one of the locations, he just left one day. Didn't come back, didn't call, just left. You know. So, you know, we've done, and I've done everything I could to try to attract people. I mean, I even took the interview process on the road. I went to establishment and businesses that was closing. I talked to the managers. I talked to the employees there to try to get some people to come. It's just, I mean, anywhere I can talk to anybody about, I'm like a preacher. Anywhere I can talk to anybody about getting somebody in, that's what I did. Facebook, everything. Even people, even the custodians helping me. They calling me, giving me names. Because see, when you're short, they got to pick up. Because I don't care. Just like we 5 people short today. But guess what? That school has to be ready in the morning. You can't say I had 5 people out. Any more questions? Okay.
Yes, Dr. Schumate.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that McKellar and Columbus Success Academy, I can't remember the third one, without a head custodian. So do you, I mean, you obviously send somebody over, or how does that work?
They have a custodian, but not a head custodian.
Okay.
Because in the past, I say probably about 10 years ago, I was told that need to have a head custodian when it's only one custodian there? Because what are they the head of?
That's a good question. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, that's kind of how we got to that point without, because we used to have one at every location,
Mhm.
but we don't have a head custodian, because the head custodian make more than a regular custodian. And see, now my head custodians, they used to could help me and kind of monitor what's going on, but now they having to do as much work as the custodian. So,
Mhm.
you know, and then with them ordering supplies and different stuff, you know, it's just, you know, everybody just trying to kick in and get the work done. That's all we're trying to do.
And then I guess the other question I had is, of all the things y'all have to clean up, what's the most difficult?
Restrooms.
Okay, I sort of figured that. Thank you.
So you approved for 34, 35?
Well, we have 34, 35 with myself.
Okay, so if you approve what you had tonight, you'd have 34, and you say have
Oh, I
one
have
short.
34 tonight when you approve. All those positions are people that left, retired, quit, like that. And I have one that's coming back February the 5th or 6th, so that'll help too. They've been off like 90 days.
I don't think that rocket science that they can make more at McDonald's than they can clean it up.
Well, as a matter of fact, I went to an establishment on 45. It's a major chain. And so I saw the girl in there working, and I said, and I knew her, so I said, I said, you work? I said, how long you been here? She said, I've been here about 4 years. I said, how is it? She said, it's good. I said, how's the pay? She said, I'm making 16 some an hour. I said, well, don't you saying anything to her?
Any more
Yeah.
questions? Ms. Somerville, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We can't make any decisions right now, but we will remember you in our budget planning. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Item 3, transportation update, Mr. Michael Love, Director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am your transportation director. By now, I know you all know me. And as I go ahead and get started, we have quite a few things that's going on at the bus shop. We're looking at what we update as we have 26 full-time bus drivers, excuse me, and 8 subs, and 34 total buses, and 10 monitors. But we're looking at, we have like a shortage. You all know that we have a shortage of drivers. So what we're doing is we're moving along, but when we have this, since we have this shortage, we're doubling up the routes. And so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But again, we're moving, doing what we're having to do to get things done. As you see, we have 6 drivers we have 6 drivers that we really would need. I know 3 is the minimum that we're allowed to have extra. But if with the way the routes are right now, if we had 6 drivers, we'd be doing great. But again, we need that. And excuse me, the plan as we struggle through getting the kids to and from school. What we have in place is that when we are running behind time or don't have enough drivers in the afternoon, that's basically our problem in afternoon routes, is that we have to get in contact with the schools and the principals and let them know that we have a bus that's not going to be running this afternoon, or we don't have enough buses, so we need to double up. And we communicate with them, excuse me, and in communicating, letting them know that bus 21 is going to be running in place of bus 24, so double them up on that particular bus. And when we have too many on the bus, then we'll have to send in another bus. And of course, you know I'm driving, so I don't have a lot of time to sit in the office and do nothing. We're putting things on the ground. We're running as much as we can. So, and as we just said, we have 34 buses and 3 spares. And working with those 3 spares, sometimes we get in a cramp because field trips, games, they take away buses. And so again, that throws us where we have to double up buses and routes in the afternoon as well. This is the part that I love, where we have 3 mechanics. And the board that you see to your left is what we're using to track our maintenance and schedule the maintenance, so we know what buses, what white fleets we have that need services. As you see, one of our mechanics is working on the brakes. Thank you. And as we see the mechanic working on the brakes, so that, like I said, we do our best to keep our buses running, but still, when we look at our mechanics, 2 are just helpers. They don't know a lot about what they're doing, so a lot of times I have to supervise, or Gary himself, and that puts him behind because he's a driver and, excuse me, he's a driver and a mechanic. So what we're talking about, I've been talking to Dr. Ellis and also to Mr. Chapman, trying to see if we can get a full-time mechanic in there to assist Gavin. Because again, when I have to leave the office, I'm out there in the bus shop, and a lot of times that puts me behind on things I need to get done. So, but like I say, we're tracking our maintenance, and if you ever come to our office, you'll see the board where you can see what bus, what white fleet vehicles we're serving, how we're tracking them. Next one.
Mr. Love.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead,
Let me
Mr.
interrupt.
Smith.
Mr. Love. So you're saying you have 3 mechanics. Okay, you're saying you have 3 full-time mechanics, right? So evidently they're not full-time mechanics.
Excuse me if I said 3 full-time, no.
So that you have 3 part-time mechanics.
I got 1 mechanic / driver, and then I have 2 helpers, which come to a total,
Okay, all right,
they're not full-time mechanics.
Okay, all right, for clarity purposes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so you do not have a full-time mechanic?
No.
So how long you been with the,
This month
Bus
makes,
shop.
this month makes a year.
you haven't had a full-time mechanic since you've been there?
No.
You have part-time mechanic. So it's mechanic / driver.
Correct.
So you're having to outsource a lot of your stuff that you could have done, that you could do if you had a mechanic.
Well, honestly, since we set up the maintenance program, it's not a lot going out. I'm not sure what the percentages are at this moment, but we're not sending a lot of outsource. We're able to do more in-house because, again, our assist, Gavin is pretty good, so that helps us. The only time I'll send something out is if it's gonna put us in a bind. Let's say, for instance, it's gonna take more manpower to get it done and have it bus sent out for 2 days. So if I can get it to outsource that, fine, but most of the time, the majority of the time, we don't send it out.
So being a transportation director myself, so like transmission work, you outsource that.
We haven't had any transmission problems.
I mean, I'm just saying, though.
Yeah, I mean, if that
no
came
matter
because
you
it
have
would
when
take
you
more manpower.
outsource it,
If that happened, it would take.
engine, you swap out engine, rebuild or all of that.
Well, we don't have any mechanics over there, that
I know.
I put in the rebuilding engine. Yeah. And
So-
plus, that's,
So have you finished, Mr. Richards? So actually, you don't have a facility to rebuild engines over there.
Oh, no.
If you had a full-time mechanic, is that not correct?
no.
I know when I visited, I didn't see where you had facilities.
We're not equipped to do a lot of stuff but thankful, like I say, with the engine problem, we're not having engine problem, we're not having transmission problems. And so we're able to do the brakes, water pumps, rotaries and stuff like that.
So in other words, the mechanics that you have, mechanic / driver, they just do the minor repairs.
Right. And see, the thing, like I said, the good thing is that's keeping us going is because we're staying up on the maintenance, on the maintenance product. The preventive maintenance, we got a 3 and 6 months, maintenance schedule. So the A is for like a minor, what we just talked about. The B is where we do a complete maintenance from top to bottom. And whatever is broken or whatever is getting ready to go out, we usually catch it.
So, Mr. Chapman, when the last time buses was purchased for the district?
Is the, I know their plan, used to be, they recommend that at least on a 10-year scale, you rotate them out, and then they also recommended that you bought so many buses every year in order to keep yourself at that 10-year rollover. So,
So you say you have 34 buses? That's operable, that's working.
That's working, yes, sir.
Okay, so roughly, how many 54 passenger, 66 passenger, 72 passenger? Do we have a 72 passenger bus?
We have about 872 passengers, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm not exactly, let me say this, I'm not exactly sure how many, but we have quite a few. The newer ones came in being 72 passengers, the internationals and the Freightliners, the one they just purchased a few years ago.
So you have more 72 passenger
But
buses?
we don't have 65s and 54s like that, no.
Dr. Schumate?
one more question for you. So what do you do if you got a rotor or you got a bus that got broke down, like you got it right there, and you don't have the parts, so you can't get it at the shop? What you do?
We leave it in until we get the parts.
So you got another bus broke down, then what here?
Well, if we have another one broke down and we can't get it in the shop, we just have to let it stay there until we can get it in. Because it's not big enough for 2 to 3 buses to get in there at one time.
Dr. Schumate?
Thank you. How is our working relationship with Waters Truck and Tractor?
I think we have a pretty good working relationship. I haven't had any problems.
I mean, I wasn't expecting any. I just wanted to check because that's where you would do the major, that's where you send for the major work, correct?
Right.
And the turnaround time is reasonable?
It had, well, like I said, the little work that we send them, because like a lot of times they're calling to see if we have anything for them to do. And
Well, I would take that as a compliment because obviously your preventive maintenance is working quite well.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that program, and I'm excited about how, when I first came, how we stepped in and started seeing where the problems were. We started seeing what we needed to do instead of having, just say in our inventory, you use one part and you don't put it back. That caused downtime. So what I'm doing now is ordering like maybe 2 to 3 parts, so that way we don't have to wait on the turnaround time.
Well, I think the key to this is to state the obvious, which I will, because we went through a period where we weren't buying buses, which was a big mistake. So I'm very glad to hear that you're working with Ms. Rogers to make sure that we get, and Mr. Chapman, to make sure that we get a replacement schedule, because that's the key to making this work. I had one other question, if that's
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Dr. Brown. On your bus monitors, how are those working? I see you have 10 now.
They are actually working really good. I wish we had 10 more.
Okay, that was my next question. Okay.
They're really working really good because they really help the driver. They monitor what's going on. A lot of times things are going on the driver can't see.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, I wish we had 10 more.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions?
So do you have a big turnover with drivers?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say this, we're having the turnover with the younger drivers, just like Ms. Somerville say, with the older drivers, most of you all know that's been here for a long time. They're seasoned drivers. But if we hire younger drivers that comes in and their expectation for how much they should make, they only gonna be there a short time.
So what about the pay scale compared to the county or other schools in the Golden Triangle area?
We're not,
In Geelong?
well, like Ms. Somerville say, from 0 to 5, it's about $12,000 a year with no experience. So when you're looking at that and comparing that with some of the other districts, we're underpaying, the newer drivers, because they want to come in. Of course, everybody knows they want to come in making what the senior drivers are making, and that's not going to happen. And so once they get a couple of paychecks and they come in and want to complain about, well, I'm not making enough They'll drop down from full-time driver to sub, just come in a couple hours in the morning, and then they go to their other job that they've gotten.
Okay, so substitutes, you're in good shape.
Get the subs right, because a lot of the subs right now, they are filling in where we need them at.
Okay, thank you.
So your needs are a bus purchase schedule.
I'm sorry?
Your need is a bus purchase schedule
Yeah,
and some more bus monitors
yes, it would be great.
and a full-time maintenance
And a whole
person.
lot more.
Yes, sir. We'll certainly consider you doing budget planning as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more? No? Thank you. Moving to item 4E, principal updates. Columbus Middle School Comprehensive Support and Improvement School CSI report. Ms. Kimberly Lathan, principal. Good evening.
Madam President,
Thank you.
Dr. Ellis Board, I'd like to present to you all the updates from the December months for the January presentation. We did just participate before we left in our second 9 weeks benchmark. We have some gain over that 4.5 benchmark. We are still a little bit higher than we were at this time last year. Still did not meet that C. We do have some strategies in place to obtain a C this year. We're really looking forward to that. The staff and the teachers all have bought into the mission. We just need the time and the resources, and if the resources are approved tonight, then we'll get them started. I did talk with Ms. Wilson over the weekend, make sure that our calendar that we sent in for our additional resources is in place and ready to go when they arrive. All right, so in proficiency, we were 21% for ELA, 34%, 34.8% in math, 29.7% in biology, science, excuse me. Growth for all, we were 48.6 in reading, ELA, 51.2 in math. And in our LPS, our bottom 25 students, we are 55.7 in ELA and 60.6 in math. So that was significant gains from the 4.5 assessment. Our total enrollment for January is 601. Our student ADA is 92.37%. Chronic students who were absent in the month of December is 9.11. We did 2 things in December. Number 1, we were out for 2 weeks, so that didn't count against us with that student absentee. But we are running a chronic absentee. We're running an initiative where students who do not meet that chronic absenteeism for that month, they're able to be out of uniform on the last day of the month. So if they miss 1 or less days, they can be out of uniform. And being out of uniform in the middle school is a very big deal. So that's what I'm attributing. So it's 2 weeks out and the initiative to that 9.11 versus that 28% that we see for the month of November that was reported in January. Teacher attendance rate, I have 70%. Number of discipline referrals was 9. Again, we were out 2 weeks. The students came back this past Tuesday. The building was quiet when they came in. They were, I don't know if they were sleepy or tired, but we've had a quiet start back to the year. We have 1 incident with a student who we've been working with that student. We have him in the MTSS process. We have all the interventions for that student. So we're definitely shifting in the right direction when it comes to student behaviors at Columbus Middle School. All right, our remaining balance for our 24 allocation is $68,595.80, which should be getting ready to move off tonight if my external providers are approved. And then you see that I had 2 cents left in the remaining balance of 23, which also should come out tonight. There were no remaining funds for the fiscal year of 22. Some updated things that we are doing at Columbus Middle School to try to bridge the gap. For our 8th graders, we're having a parents' night for 8th graders at the high school. So we're inviting our 8th grade parents to go over to the high school, and Dr. Andrews and Ms. Johnson, the high school counselor, will facilitate that meeting so that they will know the expectations. We have quite a few students who are making 1s, 2s in our building, but that's not acceptable in the high school. So they need to hear from someone other than myself. So we're taking them to Dr. Andrews, and this is a parent night meeting. This parent night meeting will be January 30th at 5:30. We're bringing the parents to the high school so that Dr. Andrews can give the parents a tour, tell them the expectations of what happens when they come to the high school. 1s and 2s are no longer, acceptable for a graduation path. Then the students who cannot attend on the 30th, we will have a high school visit a little bit earlier prior to our testing dates. On Valentine's Day, our 8th graders will go over and tour the building, and I'm really appreciative of Dr. Andrews for extending that olive branch early so that the students can have something to be anticipating their expectations. Also, Coach Simpson came over to our building one day last year to talk to our 6th grade young men that may want to try out for football. He and I spoke last spring when he was hired on he reaching the students prior to them entering the football eligibility of 7th grade to tell them, what's at stake and their student athletes first. So he did meet with our 6th grade boys last week to talk about the expectation. He comes over every day during our 3rd period, and he did meet with our 6th grade boys to tell them the expectations of what it takes to be a Falcon in a uniform under his leadership. This Friday, we will have our CMS talent show this Friday night at 5:30. We also are having a pizza party for our 6th grade students who show tremendous growth. That's going to be on the 30th. And we're going to have our honor roll celebration for our students who made A's and B's on January the 29th of this month. I'll take any questions at this time.
Any questions, board? Yes, Dr. Schumer.
Just one quick question, and I really am sort of sketchy on Title IX, but if you have Coach Simpson speaking with the boys about football, is there a way maybe to have someone come over and talk to the females about sports opportunities?
Well, see, we have in-house the football coaches that will teach them, they'll be their coaches in the 7th and 8th grade. But Coach Simpson is the only coach that comes to my building from the high school every day. He has a designated time that he comes in to my building every day. So this is a part of his daily operation, is to come to my building. Now,
Okay.
I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem for Coach Harrison to come to talk to the girls about basketball, but we do have Coach K, who will be their basketball coach as well. But it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, no, I'm not asking you to do it. I just want to make sure we're covered. That
It's a part of his daily schedule to come to.
Okay.
That's something that Dr. Ellis and Dr. Andrew has worked out in his daily schedule to come to the middle
That's great.
school. So a part of him coming to the middle school is also to encourage those future athletes.
Okay, thank you.
You did at one time, I don't know what's still, did you have a assistant AD female that's over there?
Yes, Ashley Peel. Yes, sir. And she's our cheerleader coach, and she does, the outreach for the cheerleaders as well. Yes, sir. And tell them their expectations on being, putting that uniform on to wear that C. You have to take great pride in that.
Any more questions, board? Thank you, Ms. Lathan.
Thank you.
Item 2, under principal updates, Columbus High School Targeted and Support Improvement School, TSI report. Dr. Marlon Andrews, principal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I'm back with you again. I enjoyed my vacation. I will say we were identified for targeted support of school improvement for SPED population. We are still and have been still identifying and working with our SPED population to ensure that we come off of that as quickly as possible.
Our sped population is doing really well. We have a high pass rate on our state test, on our discipline as well. So we're trying to make sure we incentivize everything for all of our students, but especially our special education students, so that we can make sure that we come off of that. I did go over my data with you in December. We did take a benchmark for my spring testers. My reading, my ELA proficiency was 33, growth overall 58, and bottom 25 growth was 52.4. Math, it was 31, proficiency. Growth overall was 82.6, and our growth in the bottom 25 was 97.3. Biology was 47%, which is kind of where they were at the end of the year. In U.S. history, we only had 11%. I wouldn't say that I'm bothered about U.S. history. We usually pull out 57.5, between 55 and 60% for our U.S. history. So we had our accelerated, and I'll be able to give you a more up-to-date ballpark figure of our accelerated students, and they'll be back probably in 2 weeks for those students that tested in December. I will say the students that on the ones that we're capturing, these students are some of our lower performing students. We have a lot of overage students that we're trying to make sure we catch them up with their cohort to get them out and graduated. So our teachers are working extremely hard during school and after school to make sure that these students get everything they need to be successful. Our total school enrollment, as Dr. Ellis stated earlier, is 865. We lost 3 students, but we gained 3 students on that same day. So we're still at 865. We did have a smaller class come over. So our 8th grade class that came over was about 162 students. Our graduating class was about 212 students. So there's a gap in the class size. So that accounts for some of the deficiency of the students that we lost from last year to this year. Our student ADA is 82.3. I will say this now, we've been working. High school is very interesting. So I have a lot of students, when looking at the ADA and looking at the student attendance, my 9th and 10th grade students are not the issues. It's my 11th and 12th grade students. When speaking with parents, we're in a time where the parents tell me that the students, well, if they want to come to school, they'll come. So I'm having these real life discussions with these parents and trying to get them on board, but a lot of parents work. I have some parents that tell me, well, I go to work at 3 a.m., so they need to get on the bus, they need to come, they need to be responsible, where they're not getting on the bus. We only have 2 SRO vehicles at this time, and Chief Brown, she monitors the whole district. We have assistant chief at the middle school. So I'll even go out myself and get another teacher, and we'll go pick students up. So whatever it takes, we're trying to get the students there. We're doing incentives. So I didn't really know a lot of students like to skate. So every month, I made an agreement with the students to do something with them every month if you come to school every day and don't miss a day. We're going to Skate Zone in February, and I'm just looking forward to see how many students are coming. So our attendance is looking pretty well. We've also worked with Ms. Carter and Ms. Wilson and Mr. Chapman on school status. So I found out that the reason the parents weren't getting the calls is because they weren't marked as preferred contact. We did have an emergency contact on there and a primary contact, but the first day back to school, we had every teacher go in and mark each parent preferred. So I have parents calling me now saying, Dr. Andrew, my students should be at school. They're not at school, let me call. So they're getting the calls now, so we're working on that. We've also put in place where on the second day, if a student misses, teachers it's mandatory for a teacher to call that parent and make contact, and if they don't make contact, then they have to notify that administrator, and we do a home visit to see why they missed 2 consecutive days in a row. So we understand that attendance is very, very important, but I do want you to know that we're working and we're addressing it. I'm just trying to get these parents on board and just trying to change the outlook and the thought process of the parents that may be more so friends with their student than the parent. So we're working on that. Number of students with 2 or more absences. We just I went back to the whole year, so our report came up, it was 445 throughout the whole semester that had 2 or more absences. Our teacher attendance rate is 52. We've had some shoulder replacements. We had some hip replacements out there at the high school. So, December, they had a lot of new things, but they're walking better and they're feeling better. So I'm hoping that everything's okay. But we also had some deaths in some of these teachers' families. They've had COVID going around. We had some stomach virus. So we're just working to do what we have to do for the students at the high school. And the number of discipline referrals for December was 44. I'll take any questions at this time.
Dr. Schumate?
Is there a reason that October, November, and December information's not filled in on this form?
So we just started back today. So today is my first official reporting day.
No, but this is from last year, all the information from October, November, and December of '24.
So I thought this went before the state. So if we had to be on there, it was my fault. I thought I only started my report date since we were just re-identified in January.
Okay, but
Is that wrong, Ms.
there's no
Cornwell?
way to compare, whether the total school enrollment or the ADA, is it going up or down? All that information, I'm just not sure why that's not there.
So again, it was just misinterpretation on me. I can put it on there. I thought my first official reporting day would be today, and that's just the start of report to the state.
The information from the previous 3 months is relevant.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll get it on there.
And then the percentage of students with 2 or more absences, that's the number, that's the number of students, not the percentage, which is over half your student population.
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty bad.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I spoke about.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the attendance issues. We're trying to address them. Again, I've identified where the attendance issues are coming from, and all I can do at this point is try to address them with the parents and the students.
Okay. And that's why, it would, if we had the previous information, we could see whether that was going up or down.
Yes, ma'am. I can get
Okay.
that to you.
All right, that's fine. Let's try to make it a little bit more complete so we have a better view.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any more questions, board? No. Thank you, Dr. Andrews. Moving to item 5, open forum, policy BCBD. Do we have anyone for open forum? Who's back? Yes, we do. What's his name? Lowe. Mr. George Lowe. Welcome.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of the school board, district administrators, and fellow community members. Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year.
My name is George Lowe, and I've had the privilege of being a part of the school district for more than 33 years. And I was joking with my daughter that I started at breakfast in this very room 33 years ago. So in more recent years, I've led various initiatives aimed at restoring pride and supporting student growth, with many of the former students that participated in these initiatives expressing how those efforts positively impacted them, and the students emphasized the value of giving back to school and community. And I'm here tonight not to make accusations or point fingers, as many of the issues that I'm about to speak about have existed before many of the current staff was in place. However, I do come before the board with acknowledgement and accountability in mind so that we can work together to find solutions to the areas of opportunity within our district. The athletic complex fieldhouse is a vital facility for our students. From the football team, girls and boys track team, girls and boys soccer, girls and boys powerlifting, I may be leaving out a team, but serving hundreds of young people who rely on it daily for sports, training, and extracurricular activities. However, its current state is deeply concerning. While the district has addressed some mold issues, the facility still falls short of the standards we should demand for our students' health and safety, as certain rooms are structurally prone to have ongoing mold and bacteria issues. While I did not come before you tonight with a long list of specific items, I want to emphasize there are many areas in this building that urgently need attention. If anyone has specific questions for me, I'm more than willing to field them and provide further detail about the areas of opportunity and concerns that I've seen firsthand. I do acknowledge the efforts that the district has already made, such as painting the exterior of the building, some internal structural changes as well. But the quality of work reflects the standard far below what we expect for a district that prides itself on excellence. Generally speaking, accepting the lowest bid for such a significant facility does not always serve the best interests of our students or our community. We must align our investments with our commitment to quality and success. I also urge each of you board members to take a tour, visit the field house yourself, and ask yourself, is this the best representation of the nucleus of CMSD Athletic Complex? Is this the kind of facility that inspires and supports the results we want from our students? Beyond the immediate concerns, I want to share some optimism. There are many alumni and community members who are eager and willing to support restoration initiatives. However, before we can move forward together, we must first acknowledge the need for supplemental support and openly address the areas that require attention. This will allow us to create a plan that involves not just the district, but the entire community in revitalizing this essential facility. I stand here not just to raise concerns, but also to offer solutions. I myself am willing to lead efforts to organize volunteers and rally community support. Together we can ensure the Fieldhouse becomes a safe, functional, and inspiring place that reflects the excellence that we expect from our students and our district. I ask the board to prioritize this issue and act with accountability, quality, and collaboration in mind. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to working with all of you to create a brighter future for the students in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Mr.
Who has
Doc,
the question?
Mr. Smith, yes.
Mr. Lowe.
Yes, sir.
The athletic field house. that
Yes,
deals
sir.
with Bacteria and mold. What area in the field house, athletic field house?
Well, there's an area specifically, so they've replaced there were some mold issues in the shower area, in the rear by the locker room, in the back there. But also in that same space, we've made some additions. I don't know how many years ago it was, but there's a junior varsity locker room, and there's an equipment room that's there. Now this equipment room houses shoulder pads, all the equipment that's associated with the football team. And what really sparked this for me was, me and a group of some former players went back and helped clean up in preparation for some upgrades that the district's about to do. But one thing that stood out, and my daughter, she's a student at the middle school, she just recently did a project. She got first place in microbiology science project at CMS. But as I was working with her about that, it's about bacteria, and heat is where it grows. So in this room where the helmets and all of the equipment is, there's no ventilation in this room. When we made the addition to this room, by design, engineeringly, we didn't think to ventilate this room. So it gets pretty hot in Mississippi, as we know. So there's certain times of the year that it's hard to even stay in that room. Even the helpers that go in the room to help, they have to leave the door open, and some of them are girls, and sometimes they can't leave the door open because there's boys in here. So they have to stay in there closed in a room with no ventilation. So I just think, I know, however, that with a few upgrades to that area and getting some air flowing, it would help, because things like staph infection and stuff like that carries on from that bacteria. And I'm a football player myself, so I kind of know, with regards to the sweat and things, and really advocating for the use of the shower. I was talking to Coach, during the time where the shower was molded and it wasn't being used very much, the whole use of the shower thing kind of went down a lot too. So just being conscious of that, and Yeah, that in particular is a high bacteria area there.
But as far as in the shower, the board have taken a tour, and as far as the mold and bacteria that have been addressed, and then in the bond issue, I don't know whether you're aware of it, Pride Morrow, the athletic facility is a part of the bond issue.
Right.
Where they address some issues. Now, as far as the ventilation, you're referring to, I mean, that's something that can be looked into.
Well, then there's also, too, I understand about the bond issue, and everybody turns to the financials, but we're talking about a sense of pride in the facility in its current state. So we have to take some responsibility to how we have handled that facility before the bond money arrives. Even the painting, there's the painting that was done, there's painting on the air conditioning. The water hose was not disconnected before the painting took place. The water hose has paint on it. There's paint on the building that's not supposed to be there. And these are things that are contracted, and we have agreed, and obviously it was said, good job, move on, because it's in the state that it's in now. And we have to hold ourselves accountable to that level of excellence that we market to our students. We can't expect them to have excellence when we're not ourselves putting that foot forward. And I have rolled my sleeve up and will continue to my dying day, roll my sleeves up and contribute. But I wanted to come before the board and urge, and if you guys have taken a tour, do you think that that is an excellent facility, Board Member Smith?
I didn't say it was excellent. You know, I played ball too.
Right.
Just like you have.
Yes, sir.
But the facility's in a better condition today than it was a year ago. It's always improvements that's needed in any athletic facility. I think we both would agree to that.
Right.
Is that not correct?
No, that's correct. But what did we speak to prior to a year ago? What led us to that state of the desolate state of the field house?
So what you saying is that is a problem as far as the paint that was done to the facility?
No, I was giving an example. You asked for some examples, and I was giving some examples.
So what are you asking the board as far as you and a committee from a volunteer standpoint? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm not asking for. I'm asking for the board. Have all the board members visited the field house?
Yes.
Yes, they have.
Has recently? How recent?
Probably a couple of months before
we've
the
had-
season started, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple of tours this year, within the school year.
So is there not an issue with us not having a level of excellence in the nucleus of our athletic facility?
So when the last time you visited the field house?
As recently as last week.
Area that you're talking about now, they didn't tour that area where the equipment is stored.
Yes, sir.
I'm familiar with that because I coached there.
Yes.
It don't have, when they added that part onto the building because they had to, because of Title IX, they had to move some back part of the building for females because you didn't have it. Then they did the softball facilities to facilitate, to make up for that. But that part you're talking about, they just simply add an extension and it don't have any ventilation in it. It has, I think it really don't have air conditioning in it.
No, not at all.
Keep the half door open or the door open when you're passing out equipment. And one of the problems is when they wash the clothes, they don't dry as, sometimes they're not dry as they should. And you got moisture, plus the moisture build up from the temperature in the building, because it gets real hot back there.
I mean, it could be a problem with the ventilation. If you're referring to in the football locker room?
No, it's in the, if you go into down the hall, you go into what they call the varsity locker room. Then you have a ninth grade locker room. Then to the east of that, when you go in that ninth grade locker room, that's where the equipment room is, where they store all of the uniforms, all the helmets, all the equipment that they use for the football period, as far as
The shoulder pads, the paint,
all that is
the
in
jerseys,
all
and
that
all.
is stored in
We visited that.
but it's not in ventilation in that area.
Well, maybe it's not, but we did to it.
Okay, I know it wasn't I didn't go, when we went out there, we didn't go in there. Not since I've been on here, we didn't go in that part of the building. We went into everything else but that part. We went into the old equipment room, and which is attached to the laundry room and to the training room is. but we're not talking about that room, we're talking about the other room.
Well, as far as the athletic facility, the other board can speak for themselves, along with Dr. Ellis and Mr. Chapman. We went to every room that was in that athletic facility. Now, as far as ventilation, that could be a ventilation problem, but we toured every room there.
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
Add to help Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe, we have, last school year, the board toured, the athletic complex, and we put a great amount of time and effort into making an extensive list that was attached to our capital improvement. We've not only, placed resources in the building, funds, and allocating those funds so that we could get some work done on the building. And those things are public, and I know Mr. Chapman would be willing to give you that information so you can see there's an extensive list on all the things that have been done to that building in the last year, and it's quite a bit of work. And we are working towards that place of excellence, but it does take time as well. So what we have done is once, we've gotten so far, the board goes back and tour. We've toured the building, I would say probably in the last year to year and a half, probably 4 to 5 times, quite a bit. The locker room, the field house, excuse me, even the visitors area, the baseball area, the area where they call the game. We've looked at lighting equipment. This goes back actually before we started on lights, the tennis courts, everything over there. We have even gone on a traveling tour. Last year, we went to other school districts. We went to Lowndes County to see what their facilities look like. We also went to West Point. And so we put a great amount of time and effort into trying to make sure that our students have what is needed. But please be mindful that it does take time, and that's why the field house and that whole area over there, like the parking lot and all those pieces to the puzzle, those things are on the bond issue. And I do please know that we have addressed a ton of those issues. And if it's okay with Dr. Ellis, that'd be great if they could get a list together so you can see exactly what we've done.
Yes, as well. And also, too, this is not to say with the work that you guys haven't done, but the reference to the 33 years, I have seen this facility this entire time. And it's not to say, oh, well, what we did last year or the money's coming. We have a problem. There's an area of opportunity. The greatest thing about problems is that we can provide the solutions. And it's not finger pointing, saying the board or the administrators. It's all of us collectively identifying and acknowledging in the open that there is an issue and coming up with a solution. That's it. And, if you guys have toured it, if that's what you guys' standard is, then that's what your standard is. But there's a process to you guys sitting in that seat as well. So if that's your standard, then there's a process to getting someone in those seats that has a level of excellence about what we do for our facilities and our kids, and not just talking about it, not just giving the service and the words of excellence. So that's where I'm coming from. That's where I've always stood, and I will always stand. And this is not personal, but it is personal. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item 6, Office of the Superintendent, Dr. Stanley K. Ellis, School Operations, Superintendent's Travel Report, Superintendent's Travel Review for information only.
Okay. On December the 21st, I had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Williams and Dr. Esters. During that time, they provided me with detailed information in regards to grants centered around technology and industry, STEM, and academics. Because we are going through a process of downsizing or restructuring the district, I've asked them to start looking into things that will allow us to do some things to some historical buildings. And so that's not necessarily in their wheelhouse, but they have individuals that's a part of their network. And so they're going to begin to try to look to see if they can help us with that. I'll be meeting with them again, probably in the next couple of weeks to, see where we are with those.
Any questions? Dr. Ellis? Moving to item 6B, Superintendent's recommendations. Number 1 is a consideration and discussion to approve administrators and directors, staff/personnel items submitted by the Office of Human Resources. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Reverend Richardson. Any questions about? All in favor? Motion passes. Moving to item 2, consideration and/or discussion to approve staff personnel items submitted by the Office of Human Resources. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Dr. Shoemake. Any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 7 is the Office of Business Management, Columbus Municipal School District Business Administrator discussion of the following items. A, consideration and/or discussion to approve monthly financial reports, policy DI. Number 1, fund balance report. Number 2, cash balance report. Number 3, budget status report. Number 4, monthly revenue budget report. And number 5, monthly expenditure budget report. Are there any questions about any of those? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Ms. Young. All in favor? Item 6, certification and summary of reconciled bank statements, policy DI. Any questions about that? Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Mr. Reverend Richardson and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. All in favor? Item 7, budget amendments. Any questions about that? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Dr. Shoemake. All in favor? Motion passes. Item 8, fixed asset disposal. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Shoemake.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Shoemake and a second by Ms. Young. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item 9, claims docket. Mr. Smith.
Stay warm.
I'll read A and B together for a motion. A is the paid accounts payable claims for the board ratification, and B is held accounts payable claims to Columbus Light and Water Department. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll make the second. We have a motion by Reverend Richardson and a second by myself, Dr. Brown. Any questions about that report? All in favor? Motion passes. We're on item C, Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you.
Regular accounts payable claim docket. Is there a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by myself and a second by Ms. Young. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item B is for your information, the Chief Financial Officer updates. Number 1, monthly ad valorem tax collection analysis report, policy DI. Number 2, CMSD fund balance trends. Number 3, bank cash balance yearly comparison. Number 4, student event activity report. Number 5, federal programs and IDEA monthly financial review. And number 6, the review of the 16th section regulations and laws. Are there any questions about those? None? Item B8, item 8, I'm sorry. Item 8, the consent agenda, policy BCBAL. Number A is the consideration and/or discussion to approve revised policy GADA, professional staff continuing education. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Reverend Richardson. Are there any questions about that? All in favor? Motion passes. Item B, consideration and/or discussion to approve agreements, contracts, memorandums of understanding, out-of-state travel, field trips, and student transfers. This is for items 1 through 14. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Young and a second by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions about any of those? Dr. Shoemake?
Just a little bit of clarification on Ms. Yvonne Henley. This is her third contract we've got this year. There are another 2 already in force. The one I'm interested in is the one she already has with Franklin, which runs through June 30th of 25. How is this one different?
Ms. Cornwall, could you come up for a second?
There wasn't a lot of information on her latest one. Oh,
Your mic is not on.
okay.
First one was with the ARP homeless counseling contract.
Emotional
And
learning, was that?
The ARP homeless counseling. She did some counseling service through ARP homeless.
Oh, okay,
And then we didn't have a counselor at Franklin.
right.
So that one was submitted for her to do some work to help out with that missing counselor. Right now, we have, she's about finished with those days on that contract. So we were trying to continue that. And then the second one is we have a counselor that's going to be out for Ms. Butts over at Fairview. And she's having surgery, and I think she's going to be out about 12 to 16 weeks. So I know we were counting on 12, but we just extended that out just a little bit. But Ms. Henley knows that when that counselor returns, that would void that.
Yeah,
She's going to help support Fairview and Franklin right now until they get counseling positions.
Okay, yeah, I think the thing that confused me was the end date of June for the first Franklin one that we did last fall.
Yeah, we're having trouble finding a counselor.
Okay.
So even if we, and she knows we're looking to try to hire.
Okay,
But we just did that so we wouldn't have to keep coming back.
perfect.
So
Okay,
if
thank you. That explains it all.
Thank you, Ms. Cornwall. Anything else? Any more questions for that? Okay. With the motion from Ms. Young and a second from Mr. Smith for items 1 through 14, all in favor? Thank you. Item C are dates to remember, policy BCBD, the academics. January 20th is Martin Luther King holiday. February 6th, progress reports. February 24th through the 26th, MSBA annual conference at Flowood. Athletics, the attachments were there for your review. And thank you, Ms. Woodard, for sending those to us on a regular. Item 3, board meetings upcoming January 16th, which is Thursday. We have a special call meeting at Brandon Central Services Center at 5 o'clock. On the 18th, which is Saturday, we'll have our Board of Trustees annual work session here at Brandon at 8 o'clock. February 5th, we'll have our board review meeting at Columbus Success Academy at 11:30. And February 10th, we'll have a regular meeting at Brandon Central Services Center at 5 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank Coach Harris for putting in the visual and performing arts on the activities. Thank you.
Okay. Item 9 is a closed determination for executive session, policy BCBK. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you. Motion passes. Audience,